We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Matt Turnauer's latest documentary explores Roy Cohen's complex life, his influence on Donald Trump, and the lasting implications of this partnership in American politics.
After Hurricane Helene devastated Asheville's DayTrip bar, generous donations of nearly $200,000 are helping rebuild this beloved LGBTQ bar and coffee shop. The bar was only open a month before it was destroyed.
In Michigan's Lodi Township, 3 queer candidates, including Eric and Finn Roberts, campaigned for council positions addressing water quality and transparency in a conservative area. 3 queer candidates for the win.
Televangelist Kenneth Copeland condemned LGBTQ spirits during a controversial prayer, stirring backlash for his rhetoric amid his history of controversy and wealth.
Heightened anxiety grips LGBTQ voters due to targeted legislation, hate speech, and political climate, with 94% planning to vote despite emotional burdens. Tonight, Queer News Tonight provides some professional anti-anxiety advice.
Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views. Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ+ brand in Florida. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our community. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. Thank you. It is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show. Literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited, live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back Yvonne Rohrbacher. Yvonne is a 35-year activist in South Florida and was the publisher of our first gay Yellow Pages in the 1990s. Kind of iconic. She started with a broadcast on the 2000 show on Party 93.1 radio with Mark Gilbert, Issues Over the Rainbow. Currently, her involvement includes the Women's Fund at Stonewall Museum and Library, the Lesbian Thespians Fundraising and Performance, and now Queer News Tonight. Welcome back, Yvonne. It was so nice to see you when I walked in.
Oh, thanks. Glad to be here.
Let's welcome back Alex Morash. Alex has written for The Advocate and served as editor-in-chief as Options Magazine. He has also served as media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force and press secretary, for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Eric. And I just want to say to everyone actually at Options, tonight is their Options Award, so good luck to all the nominees and congratulations, everybody.
Yes, congratulations. Let's welcome back anchor Dr. Bobby Huen. He is a certified civil and family mediator and a founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. From Hong Kong and having grown up across the world, he can offer a queer global perspective on current events. Welcome back, Bobby.
Thank you so much. How are you, darling?
I'm great, honey. Let's welcome back anchor Jeff Oliverio. We are all family tonight, by the way. Everyone's welcome back. He is a financial advisor and certified financial planner with Truist Wealth in Fort Lauderdale. Jeff is one of the founders and president of the Hollywood LGBTQ+ Council. He has served as co-chair for the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala since 2021. Jeff, the Freedom Rally will be held on October 20th at Miami Beach Bandshell. Tell me what's happening.
Well, it's an exciting way, as we all hopefully know, is that October 21st will mark the first day of early voting. So this is a rally to get LGBTQ and all of our allies to the polls. There's going to be some amazing concerts. We're going to have Kimberly Locke.
American Idol.
Frenchie Davis, who will be coming over from the Task Force Gala. Robbie Elias will be there. So it'll be a really fun night. It's hosted by SAVE. I urge everyone to go to SAVE's website if you are confused or need to find which candidates to support or ballot issues. SAVE has a great resource for all voters out there. So grab that and be at the polls on October 21st. Vote early, not often.
Amen. And by the way, Kimberly Locke has one of the best bops. I don't know if anyone's ever listened, but it's called
Spotlight.
Spotlight's good, but Smack That. It's like it's more like a poppy sort of Rihanna vibe. It's very, very, yeah.
And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Eric Restivo. Eric is well known for DJing some of the largest clubs in West Hollywood and has residencies in Los Angeles, P-Town, NYC, and now Wilton Manors. He is the television host of the W Boys, focusing on LGBTQ+ love for entertainment, broadcast on Fridays, and then on demand. Welcome, Eric.
Yes, thank you. Speaking of W Boys and West Hollywood and Wilton, I just want to give a shout out to Mickey's in West Hollywood. It was sold after quite some time under the same ownership, and it was bought by the owners of Hamburger Mary's, previous owners of Hamburger Mary's here in Wilton Manors. So Ruben and Dale, congratulations, and then jump on a plane, come to the East Coast. I am super excited to throw my press hat on Saturday and attend the National Task Force Gala, which you can still get tickets for the gala for a little bit longer. You can just go to taskforce.org/taskforcegala. And then the after ball event, which is right after, you can get tickets up to the event and at the door, and you don't want to miss that. It's going to be a night of quite some sexiness, yeah? Yeah. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. First, this evening, let's queer up politics. Trump has a gay whisperer mentor who helped him from the start. Matt Tyrnauer is on a roll. Following the success of his 2018 documentary Studio 54 and Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood, Tyrnauer premiered his latest film, Where's My Roy Cohen, at the Sundance Film Festival. This powerful documentary delves into the life of Roy Cohen, a controversial figure who rose to the prominence during the Red Scare as Joe McCarthy's right-hand man. Cohen later became a fixture in New York society, representing organized crime figures and befriending political heavyweights like Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. He was gay, and notably, he also mentored Donald Trump, who sought his guidance before Cohen died in 1986 from AIDS. Queer Tea has a fascinating story on the film's implications. Cohen's legacy, depicted in Tony Kushner's Angels in America, reveals his role as Trump's confidant for 13 years. When asked about Cohen and Trump's media savvy, Tyrnauer noted, quote, I think it's a skill. They know what they're doing. They're performers. Trump's a performer. Cohen was a performer. And Trump, I believe, learned everything he knows about performing from Roy Cohen.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Last question today. What makes Roy Cohen tick?
Dora Cohen wanted a different son from the son that God gave her. And that imbued him a sense of shame about who he was. His father gave him the language through law and politics to express his shame.
Roy Cohen's contempt for people, his contempt for the law, was so evident on his face that you knew you were in the presence of evil.
He was like a caged animal. If you opened the door, he would come out and get you.
He's this bridge between the legitimate and the illegitimate world.
When John Gotti walked into a bar and shot a guy in the head, Roy managed to get Gotti off.
We have Cohn investigating homosexuals very aggressively.
That he was the one who threw the grid parties.
And there were rumors he was picking up male prostitutes.
He could pull strings and bring people together. He could pull strings and make people do things.
I was in his office when Nancy Reagan called and thanked him for getting her husband elected.
Cohn looked at Donald Trump as a protege.
Donald had the money, and Roy had the balls and the shrewdness.
Attack. Don't settle. Don't apologize. Attack.
When you look at Cohn's life, you're shining a light on demagoguery, hypocrisy, and the darkest parts of the American psyche.
According to Roy was responsible for everything important that happened in the United States.
Wow, that trailer just got me signed on. You know what? I think that this is going to be the first in many of these films that are to come out. I know there's another independent film called The Apprentice, which is spotlighting, spotlighting similar stories. So, I think we're just going to learn even more about the evils that are rooted within Donald Trump, that are also just rooted within this system that date back to as long as we just saw in this video.
As the article, as you read it already, that Roy Cohn has a prominent role in Tony Kushner's Angels in America.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that part of it is very much accurate historically. If there's something. I'm not particularly religious, but if there's a Satan inside the LGBTQ community, he's it.
That's
like he's self-loathing to a fault. He's a flamboyant queen who refused to admit that he was dying of AIDS. He tried to use his power to suppress other LGBTQ people, and he backed Ronald Reagan for AZT. Like, I don't know. I mean, the man is evil personified, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I do think, again, it just shows the roots of Donald Trump.
Right.
And, let's not forget, when you're, who you associate yourself with and how you've built your career. And he's done that through all the way up to the presidency, of associating with figures that are, I would say, less than savory. And I think in today's world, he's probably at the low of lows. So this is a fascinating story about the roots of what could hopefully never be our president again.
Right.
But gives you a profile in the deception that he's able to enact on the country.
You mentioned voting early. Vote early, just for that, so it's not our president.
This coming
again.
Monday. Yeah. Let's do it.
You're adding anything? You know what?
You're so cute. Just jump right in, Alex, please.
I'm also the one that leads next.
Very
try
nice.
To make sure
Yes.
But anyway,
so nice.
I find the most interesting thing with Trump and this stuff is, one, he is the performer. That's very clear. But with Roy Cohn, he's not the only eccentric, possibly homosexual that's been around Donald Trump. It's weird that they go around them, because when I think of the current version, the closest to Roy Cohn alive today is Roger Stone. And I will never forget the time when I was working with the Florida Dems and a non-party activist, Twink, showed me a screenshot of Roger Stone's Grindr profile, which it's fascinating to me that these eccentric, weird gay guys, or bisexual, or queer adjacent, whatever Roger Stone's identifying this week as.
Or it's just a whole...
Yeah. Right.
Do you know
they just circle around Trump, and it's just so bizarre. Or like Milo and Lucius something with the twink for Trump. It's a whole little weird queer cabal of crazy, and I'm like, whatever is going on. Like, maybe it's a sign that he's not a mentally well person. So
I don't know. I had a friend recently. We were out at dinner, and she said, "There he is again." I have seen Roger Stone in a restaurant at dinner time twice in the last month, and it's been really freaky.
What restaurant?
And yucky.
Make sure you don't go.
No, unless
link the restaurant.
Is it on Las Olas? I know he lives nearby.
He's on Las Olas all the time.
Once it was, and the other it was near Lauderdale by the Sea somewhere. I was at first I didn't think she was serious. I thought she meant somebody that looks like him is here. No, it was him.
Send in the health department.
That's our own local version of Roy Cohn. But next up, let's queer up business. DayTrip Queer Bar in Asheville receives global support for rebuilding after Hurricane Helene. A queer bar devastated by Hurricane Helene last month is receiving a new lease on life. thanks to generous donations worldwide. Nearly $200,000 has been raised through a GoFundMe campaign to rebuild DayTrip, an LGBTQ hangout in Asheville, North Carolina. Brandon Davis and his husband, Davey, opened up the bar and coffee shop just a month before Hurricane Helene wreaked havoc along the southeast coast, claiming at least 242 lives and causing damages estimated at $47.5 billion. Upon returning after the storm on September 26th, the couple found their establishment in ruins. Davey told NBC News, "It looked like a scene from an end-of-the-world movie," describing the flooding that submerged the building under 23 feet of water. Despite the devastation, the couple remains hopeful. The crowdfunding effort started by a friend has garnered nearly $200,000 so far, which is more than the original goal of $180,000. You know, this is just one of those nice stories where, like, it's tragic what they're going through, but it's nice to see people coming and support queer establishments and queer people trying to, like, build community. And it's the sort of thing that's just, it warms your heart. Because, like, with everything we've been going through with hurricanes down here, it's just nice to see people trying to come together.
Yeah.
It's a nice balance to Roy Cohn affair, you know,
It sure
to see
is.
our community stepping
And with
up.
the amount of people we have, both the halfbacks and the snowbirds and the whatevers that I'm going to retire there someday that own in our community from here that own property there that was just devastated or that you know that still are living there permanently, and oh my gosh, the whole thing was just
horrific,
horrible. And did you see the other day that the militia is out to attack the FEMA?
Yes, they are now out in force, spreading misinformation, attacking, threatening, and attacking FEMA.
They don't have enough
workers.
trouble.
And now National Guard has to step in to intervene. One of them has been arrested, and there will be more to follow. These people are blindly following misinformation spread by everything from Fox News to
And
TikTok.
they think that the FEMA field workers are the ones that are causing a problem. I mean,
well, they started the rumor that
distrust of government goes very deep.
Very
Back to the queer bar for the. Didn't you on this show announce that crowdfunding?
And that was I helped promoted that last week when I was on during the introduction. Was it the last week or the week before? All the storms has gone mixed up
they owe you a
between
big
Helene
thank
and Milton.
you.
Yes,
They owe you a bar stool.
No,
A bar stool.
no, that.
Let's
None
write.
of that.
Let's
That's
write
sure
to
people-
them.
Sit on Bobby.
We're gonna write. Definitely.
Sorry.
Come sit on Bobby.
Definitely writing.
Come
Okay,
right, Bobby.
so next, should we queer up politics?
We should.
after all of that?
Yvonne, we should. Do it.
Well, there's this city that has 3 queer local election candidates that are friends and allies. 3 queer candidates are reshaping the political landscape in Lodi Township, Michigan, as they campaign for township council positions. Among them is Eric Roberts, not that Eric Roberts, a seasoned political organizer and former school board member running for township clerk. Then his husband, Finn Roberts, is running for township trustee. Wow, that one got me. And Leslie Blackburn, a local environmental activist, is also in the race. The trio is campaigning on broader concerns that affect all residents, such as water quality, environmental preservation, and township transparency, while navigating the added challenge of being open about their identities in a rural and often conservative area. Eric Roberts shared that the tipping point for him came after attending several township meetings where local water quality issues were brushed aside. Michigan. Eric Roberts said, "We have crappy water and no one was talking about it. Finn and I felt we had to take action by running for office to demand accountability." That's a big sacrifice. Leslie Blackburn, a longtime advocate for environmental justice and founder of the group Livable Lodi, joined forces with the Roberts couple, forming a coalition of LGBTQ candidates determined to bring fresh perspectives to the township board. Despite facing backlash, including, of course, personal attacks from opponents, the Roberts-Blackburn team has received substantial support during door-knocking sessions. However, they remain vigilant about derogatory comments circulating on platforms like Nextdoor, largely stemming from their opponent, of course, Christina Smith. This is awesome. This is not a very big town, so 3 people in city government that are LGBTQ is probably a large chunk of the city government there. And it brings to mind for me how wonderful. Why not have them all? Were they not all straight last year? You know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was once asked, well, when is there when is it enough? When are there enough women on the Supreme Court? And she said, when there are 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same way about this. Like, why not? If they're the ones that care, let's go for it. Let's just make the whole town government queer.
And they seem like such nice candidates. They're not like, the buttoned up, super professional latte liberal type. They're like going to try and talk at you. They're just everyday people, just hardworking, trying to like get into there and support their community. A little bit more working class than some of the queer candidates we've seen lately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also, I think about like when I was the editor of Options magazine and the stories we do of queer candidates and the talk about the homophobia from their opponents. Even when I was dealing with Democratic primaries, the Democratic opponents would even door knock and say homophobic thing about their opponents. It's so common these days, and it disgusts me. So good for these 3. Keep calling out the homophobia and the transphobia and the queer baiting of your opponents. Don't give an inch to them and, really drive them crazy.
Absolutely not. This is about service and sacrifice.
Exactly.
How much money could they make from these jobs? Probably
none.
Probably not a lot.
But more to the also. Nextdoor. What is with that website? It is the most toxic place imaginable.
It's a free platform where people can say, sell, do
I thought it was
whatever
supposed
they
to be
want.
about when you lost your dog.
I mean, I've seen some really awful things on Nextdoor. I mean, just
That's
2 miles away.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think it's a really vicious platform
like the new
for
Craigslist.
a lot of misinformation. And there's a lot of I actually have a Hollywood LGBTQ Council page on Nextdoor, which really riles up everybody in Hollywood
I gotta join
when
it.
I post things on there. So I encourage everyone, if you're in a local community, to start your own LGBTQ group on Nextdoor, because it is also fascinating. It's also a great way to bring community in places where there are not, like a Wilton Manors, where we have a community where people can really congregate.
Dramatic question then. Is this
dramatic answer
more crazy and dramatic or less crazy than the Wilton Manors Facebook group?
Oh, well, that's tough.
That's another conversation.
Remember when Craigslist was really seedy? Like it was like you could find whatever you wanted on there, and a little dangerous seedy. I think Nextdoor is like almost that. It's almost to that
was
level.
Not the original intention.
No, it wasn't. But it's you could also directly message with different users now. It's too much access. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's an LGBTQ plus South Florida group on Nextdoor as well.
Yes.
I wanted to add, and so join it.
And I also just want to point out, what the hell is going on with water in Michigan? They're right next to a lake.
What the hell? Like I said, Michigan again.
Like Flint and now Lodi. Something's wrong in the state of Michigan with their water, and not quite sure why. I don't know why.
Maybe it's all those years of automobile manufacturers runoff.
Maybe. All right. Well, next, let's queer up students and youth.
Okay.
Televangelist Kenneth Copeland calls for prayer against LGBTQ influence in schools. Kenneth Copeland, the 84-year-old televangelist and Christian nationalist, recently stirred controversy during a broadcast of the Rescue America tour. Former member of, hosted by Flashpoint Live, a former member of Donald Trump's Faith Advisory Council, Copeland led a fervent prayer asking God for help. In his prayer, Copeland sought divine oversight in various local elections, stating, quote, "Break the power of the homosexual, lesbian spirits that are trying to ruin our children and ruin this nation. Those that refuse to hold to your will and do it. Remove them and put someone in there that will. We know it is not your will that little babies be killed in the womb. It's not your will to major in perversion instead of the peace of God." End quote. Despite the Bible's teaching on divorce, Copeland, who has been divorced twice, continued.
We break the power of the homosexual, lesbian spirits that are trying to ruin our children and ruin this nation. Get down from there. We sit by the throne. You are under our feet.
Copeland's history includes advocating for in-person worship during COVID-19 pandemic and claiming Jesus made Trump immune to the virus. 3 weeks later, Trump contracted COVID. He and his wife has amassed millions living in a lavish $6.3 million mansion funded by the church while facing criticism for their extravagant lifestyle. Additionally, in 2021, Copeland was implicated in sexual abuse allegations by former adult film actor Madison Marquette. Amen. Look, this is one of those most inexplicable elements of American culture, religious or otherwise. You go to the Anglican church, you go to even Catholic church to a certain extent, no one throws that kind of money at the pastor. No one gets to be a millionaire and a pastor. The Copelands, the guy in Houston, what's his name, the one who took over the stadium, and all these mega churches, and most of them are also MAGA churches. It's completely inexplicable. Like they ask, "Oh, give me money and I'll give you prosperity," except that after a couple of times that it didn't work, shouldn't you stop?
Listen,
wouldn't you think?
Listen, all organized religion has an extreme side. They all my thing is do what you'd like, but don't necessarily feel as though you got the right to push it down my throat as well. So, I will observe evangelists from afar. I don't want to be in the crossfire, but also I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's not going to fly with me in any aspect of when it comes into who is coming into my vote on my ballot. He looks like a complete joke, so that's that. And he is a joke, so there's that.
One, I really am going to just let him know. His prayers will not be answered. Queers are going to keep being in the schools. But more importantly, can I say, I do not get enough lesbian spirits in my life. And, we need more of the lesbian homosexual spirits. That was just amazing. But, at the end of the day, these types are always pushing this toxicity. The one thing I will counter, Bobby, on the money to these churches, I do think there's a few slightly expensive pieces of art in the Vatican and a few other non-extremist churches. There's a lot of money, and religion and money seem to go hand in hand a little more than you'd think they would, but, I digress.
It's the literal oldest profession in the book. Selling God. And again, it doesn't end there. It's a money-making scheme. It's a tax scheme because they can name themselves a church. Right. And prey upon people. It's the oldest story. There's 1,000 Netflix specials about it, so you can find them anywhere out there. And I think our culture will always be subjected to this, unfortunately.
I just want to know when Bible justifies, asking your followers to give you a private jet. That's all.
Or you can order a Trump Bible and learn all about it.
Yeah, you can write your own scriptures.
That was, what's his name, Ryan, whatever his name, the superintendent for public school in Oklahoma is trying to buy Trump Bibles for all the schools, 50,000 of them. With very specific.
Hopefully there won't be a tariff on them from China, because that's where they come from.
Because made them in China.
Wow.
Next, let's queer up the USA view. Feeling election anxiety? Here is how LGBTQ voters can cope. As the 2024 election approaches, younger LGBTQ voters are facing heightened anxiety due to targeted legislation, hate speech, and economic uncertainty. Reports show that this election season has exacerbated mental health concerns within the LGBTQ community, leading to a significant uptick in reported anxiety levels. Though not an official diagnosis, election stress disorder reflects the real emotional toll experienced during this politically charged time. A recent GLAAD poll shows that an impressive 94% of LGBTQ registered voters plan to vote this November. However, this eagerness is accompanied by emotional burdens. 72% report negative impacts on their mental health due to the current political climate. Gallup statistics reveal an even more alarming trends among queer Gen Z adults, with 71% experiencing significant anxiety compared to 52% of their straight peers. According to Elizabeth Douglas, a Minnesota-based therapist, queer voters can adopt several strategies to cope with anxiety. They can engage in advocacy, build supportive communities, practice digital hygiene, and participate in therapy. Limiting news consumption can also mitigate anxiety. Experts' top recommendation is to talk about it. Mental health experts say that talking about your anxiety with friends and family is therapy for fear and the unknown. I watched last night, MSNBC did a really great panel of actually Rutgers students, my alma mater, with Stephanie Ruhle. One of the panelists, I'm going to say I didn't see the beginning, so I believe they may have identified as LGBTQ in the panel. And she asked this question and said, if you could say one thing to Donald Trump, what would you say? And the again, gender, I believe she was a she, said, I wish he could see that I'm a human and I exist, and like visibly, came into tears. So I really feel like we don't really know how much the things that are being said on TV, whether it's about Haitian migrants or immigrants or LGBTQ or trans people, I don't think we even know the implications long term of what it's going to do to our community. It was really sad to see someone who was like on a panel on a major news network to like literally and I thought the comments were going to be like, I would tell him, I thought they were going to be, they were so well thought, but this young person's words were really, really poignant.
That would be the same age group that I would be concerned about. I have family members that were teenagers during COVID who did not get to do a high school graduation, and they didn't get to do this and that, and they've lived through Trump being president once already. And, we also happen to have raised that generation. The millennials have raised them to be very in touch with their feelings
Right.
and be very authentic and vulnerable about it.
Yeah.
And then when they're up against something that tough, they really feel it and don't deny how they're feeling, obviously, because of the story. We know that 20 years ago or 30 years ago, we wouldn't have had the freedom to express, this is how we're feeling about all this. And that's why we had higher suicide rates back then too in our community.
Absolutely.
So I feel for them, and I know that those are some things between Trump and COVID and now this newest election cycle that they are really, I'm glad that they're expressing it and that they're at least finally free to do that, but they're really being affected by it, the young people.
As someone who suffers from anxiety all the time, I just have general anxiety disorder. I can elaborate on a couple of things that they were talking about. So, for example, do not doom scroll. Do not engage with right-wing media. Do not watch Fox News. Not saying that you should not know what they are trying to say, but read it secondhand through a friendly outlet like New York Times, Politico, or even CNN. Now, the other thing is, cleanse your social media.
Yeah.
If you have like a toxic uncle or aunt who's going to be always MAGA, or your grandparents that are always MAGA, block them. You're not obligated to interact with them on social media. That's go for the same with TikTok. Shut down all those MAGA TikTok things. Just unfollow and follow and follow. Do not doom scroll. That will give you a valve.
I agree.
A way out of this anxiety cycle.
Yeah, I hear you. Like with TikTok, I at one point was getting these really just bizarre political things. I had to keep saying not interested in order to get back to slightly. But like the other thing that I look at all this, like where people are feeling anxiety toward the election, and part of it is everything we've just said. But there's like this weird split where I think about it. On the one hand, there's a lot to actually be really anxious about. One of the two candidates is saying he's going to like round people up, and one of his advisors, Michael Flynn, won't say it's wrong to execute your political opponent. So, I'm sorry, that is a little anxiety-inducing. So, but at the same time, whether not just the right-wing media, CNN, the Democratic Party, we've all ratcheted up this concept that every election is a crisis. And, this election might actually be a crisis, except we've been saying it for the entire 21st century. And I think that a lot of people have been overwhelmed by that. I think a lot of young people have been told their whole life that, like, every election is going to destroy their life. And I'm like, I don't think that's healthy for a democracy. And, I don't know how we're able to make our society better with the way that we've been going with all of this.
But the thing
don't get me wrong, Trump's side is definitely the bigger problem, but that doesn't mean the rest of us haven't been complicit in some way.
Good.
The thing is, though, if you really think about it, 2001, there was 9/11. 2004, it was the Iraq War. 2008 was the Great Recession. The 2012 is the only one that's really relatively normal.
They only had binders full of women in 2012.
Yeah, it was the worst.
Remember when that was terrible? That was terrible?
Yeah. I would just say anxiety or no anxiety, if you are of the age, please vote. Do not let what you are watching, listening to, scare you into not voting. This is an essential election. So anxiety, suit up, honey. take half a Xanax and get to the damn poll, all right? That's what I'm going to say.
You can mail your ballot.
Yeah, and right from your home.
No interaction.
Right from your home, no interaction.
I mailed my ballot today, actually.
We need all the numbers we can get.
Yeah.
Next, let's queer up religion. St. John's on the Lake, UMC, again, is the presenting sponsor for Task Force Gala on October 19th. St. John's on the Lake United Methodist Church will again serve as the presenting sponsor for the 28th Annual National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, scheduled for this Saturday, October 19th at the Miami Beach Convention Center. St. John's on the Lake, led by Reverend Kip Nelson, Florida's first openly LGBTQ commissioned clergy member, exemplifies a progressive, inclusive congregation. Their active engagement in local social justice issues reflects a commitment to the queer community. This partnership highlights the task force's ongoing collaboration with faith communities, promoting a narrative of inclusion and support. Tickets for the gala can be purchased at thetaskforce.org/task-force-gala, and the afterball can be purchased at houseoftrouble.org.
Welcome to a celebration where we nurture hope for our community. Join us for the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, Roots of Progress, Blooms of Hope. This year, we gather to honor our journey together and envision a future where our dreams blossom into reality. Experience an evening where your support fuels change, and every moment is a testament to our collective strength. From inspiring performances to powerful stories, each element of the night is designed to celebrate and uplift our community. Get ready for an evening of celebration and impact. Hosted by actor and musician Jay Rodriguez. Honoring Karamo, Jim Tyrell, and Roger Thompson. See you on Saturday, October 19th as we celebrate our journey and fuel our future. Your presence makes all the difference. See you there.
To talk about it.
So I hope we're really excited for this weekend. What I wanted to really say is the partnership we have with St. John's on the Lake is very special. Having a faith-based organization support an LGBTQ organization for a national gala, I think it's probably hard to trace if there's any of those outside there in the country. And a big part of that is about Pastor Kip. I encourage everyone, religious or not, they host a monthly event called the Big Gay Brunch. We're actually going to be hosting it the St. John's on the Lake will be hosting it the Sunday after the gala, October 21st. You can go to the St. John's on the Lake's website to register for it. It is a free event. It's a community event. It is not church related. It's really community based, and that's what Pastor Kip does a really good job of. And I have to say, he's become someone who has become a friend and someone who I really love that's part of our community. So thank you, St. John's.
Awesome. Next, we're proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. Elton John can feel the love tonight as he calls Elon Musk an asshole. Sir Elton John took a cheeky swipe at Elon Musk during his acceptance speech at the Virgin Atlantic Attitude Awards this week, receiving the Legacy Award in London for his advocacy, philanthropy, and music. John reflected on his long journey. In a playful jab while concluding the speech, John quipped, "Is this it? Is this the award? What does A stand for? Asshole, as the British say, come to the mind? But let's not talk about Elon Musk tonight." Musk has faced controversy over his politics and public clashes with his transgender daughter. John, however, celebrated his family, declaring, "I love my husband, my children. I have benefits as a gay man I never thought I'd be able to have. It's been the most incredible success." Now, I want to start with, I think the producers were being cheeky with me because they know I drive a Tesla, but but I know that it is true, Elon Musk is an asshole.
Now, Elon Musk is not just an asshole, he is now publicly known as a bigot. He's using Twitter, and for the life of me, I will never say X, it's always Twitter, to literally promote conspiracy theories, misinformation in an effort to help the orange guy. You know, he is not neutral by any means.
The orange guy's going to help him stay rich.
The orange?
And get richer.
Yeah.
I just think it's icing on the cake that his daughter is trans.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Yes. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up trans rights. Youth activists released thousands of crickets to disrupt J.K. Rowling's anti-trans conference. This week, youth activists disrupted the LGB Alliance's conference in the UK by releasing over 6,000 crickets. The conference began with J.K. Rowling criticizing the idea of trans women being lesbians. The bugs were unleashed during a speech by anti-trans advocate. How can you be an advocate of something anti? Jamie Reed on transgender health care. Don't they get a little confused? Trans Kids Deserve Better, a youth-led advocacy group, claimed responsibility for the action. Journalist Michael Baggs posted a video showing the crickets infesting the conference hall. While police were called, no arrests were made. The protesters were escorted out of the event. Trans Kids Deserve Better has been making headlines recently. The group's message continues to challenge anti-trans rhetoric in the UK. Good for you kids, no harm done, but a disruptive action to let people know that someone was watching them worry about trans women's romantic attractions?
Well, so first of all, I just want to clarify that LGB Alliance has a very sinister connotation. They deliberately left out the T. So they're saying that lesbian, gay, and bisexuals should reject the trans community out of our coalition because somehow they don't fit. And that has been the arguments that waged by conservative gays influencer on gay TikTok, on other platforms. Now, and also, I like the way that this has brought out it's very act up of them. Mm-hmm. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I think it's important to do this sort of activism, this very disruptive meth with you activism, especially when you're dealing with someone like J.K. Rowling, because she makes a big deal about how untouchable she is as a billionaire. I'm like, yes, you can be untouchable in certain ways, but then if you're going to do that, then yes, it's much more appropriate to go after you in more activist ways. I think of Anita Bryant getting a pie in the face, which Anita Bryant deserves, and J.K. Rowling deserves crickets, not just at her conference, but they should be put into her bed as well.
I love it.
Well, say crickets will still jump on a billionaire. I just want to, did the conference stop? Like, did it end for the day? Because that's what matters to me. If the crickets ended it.
They didn't really say, did they?
Yeah, I would hope that it stopped after that. But also, shout out to Hocus Pocus 3. I just wanted to tie those two together because I don't like J.K. Rowling anymore. So now, like, my only witch and wizardy movie is the Hocus Pocus franchise. And
is it coming out before Halloween?
No, but I think like next Halloween. Like they just confirmed that the sisters will be back. I'm so sorry. Did I interrupt you, Jeff? With
no, I was just going to say when I hear J.K. Rowling, I go crickets.
Crickets, yeah.
I have nothing to say.
There we go.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Drew Starkey and Daniel Craig embrace fun in filming steamy scenes for new movie Queer. Drew Starkey revealed he and Daniel Craig found filming sex scenes for Luca Guadagnino's Queer adaptation both fun, and comfortable, thanks to months of preparation. In an interview with IndieWire, Starkey explained that their work with an intimacy coordinator helped, but their movement rehearsals prior to filming were key. Starkey added, quote, "We'd been like a jujitsu class for like a couple of months. It was with this amazing, beautiful dance and choreography," end quote. Speaking to Variety, Starkey praised Craig for being a great partner and said both actors were game for anything in their collaborative approach. Fans are ready to witness this playful queer chemistry in Guadagnino's adaptation of William S. Burroughs' novel. Yeah, I would say that I have been watching sort of some of the press interviews following the cast and crew, and I am proud that I can say Luca's last name this time. But definitely excited for it. Daniel Craig sort of, to me, gives off like fun, laid back, open-minded, maybe like after a few fireballs and two, PBRs, he'd let you suck it. It's that to me, but just more laid back and cool,
I don't know how I feel about it because I keep just saying, if I see Daniel Craig, I think James Bond. Because, with Yellow Cake, and his other roles were very straight-laced, very serious British heartman style.
Will that make you more excited when you see this film?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I do think it's amazing that an actor, again, of the level of Daniel Craig, if you think just 20 years ago, this story would never have been told, ever. So progress is happening.
Absolutely.
I just could not stop laughing about this fact of two straight guys talking about how a love scene was like jujitsu move. And it was male choreography. I'm like, whatever you want to say, boys. It was jujitsu.
That might have been a little bit of removing themselves just a tiny bit from the clutch there, right? Let me just make sure I back up just the tiniest bit before I say anything.
Well, fair enough, but let's go to LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Okay. Billie Eilish's brother surprises fans with onstage kiss with a male team member. Phineas O'Connell, Billie Eilish's brother, thrilled fans at his Brooklyn concert on October 12th. During the performance of his 2021 hit, Till Forever Falls Apart, Phineas shared an unexpected kiss with his male guitarist, Ricky Gourmet, also known as Rhett, before playfully pushing him away. The audience responded with cheers. Later, Phineas also kissed his longtime girlfriend, Claudia Sulewski, during the same show. Despite being straight, the artist is known for his open-mindedness. Phineas, a celebrated producer behind Billie Eilish's music, is winning many hearts after this performance. Well, good for you. I am never quite sure what to say when straight guys act gay to entice fans. No,
I don't think he's enticing.
Yeah. I think, again, it just shows the generation that, this is not the most serious thing to kiss someone. It is not shocking anymore. And I think that, again, is progress.
It's not like the Grammys with Madonna and Christina.
Yeah, or Ellen having a kiss on screen.
Incredible, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
that was a peak game
moment. They did it for the shock value, and back then it was. Yeah. Now, not so much, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I just wonder if they had months of preparation through jujitsu style.
Well, if anyone wants...
They look pretty authentic.
They look pretty comfortable.
If anyone want more male action on concerts, check out the clip of Ross Lynch at Troye Sivan's concert.
Oh, now that's queer baiting, in my opinion.
Well, at least one of them is gay.
Exactly. LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Bill Maher attacks Chappell Roan's political views and Generation Z. Talk show host Bill Maher used his HBO show to attack queer artist Chappell Roan when she was on her Midwest Princess tour playing Austin City Limits. In his New Rules segment, Maher criticized Roan's support for Palestinians and mocked Generation Z, saying their misunderstanding of Middle Eastern politics came from TikTok. Referring to one of her songs lyrics, Maher said, quote, "Chappell, if you think it was repressive growing up queer in the Midwest, try the Mideast. You're a female drag queen and you sing, 'I fucked you in the bathroom when we went to dinner at your parents.' That wouldn't fly in Gaza, although you would, straight off a roof." Rowan has not responded to Maher's remarks, though her segment has sparked debate on social media. And listen, I mean, Bill Maher has been very outspoken against a lot of, I would say the youth movement, Queers for Palestine. He rails about it if you watch his show on a regular basis. So it's not surprising that he came out and said this. Again, I don't know why we had to bring the word drag queen into the storyline, but again, Bill Maher doesn't
That was
always...
the quote from him? Is that what it was? He called her? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and, again, I do think, Bill Maher sometimes doesn't choose his words wisely.
No. She is very costumey. Maybe he meant it as a compliment.
I doubt it. I think the moments, perfectly sum up by the phrase, well known from Simpsons fans, old man yells at cloud.
Exactly. He does. He so often these days comes off as like this guy yelling at the kids to get off his lawn. But to Bill, I just want to say, thank you. At a time where human rights groups are calling out massive losses of civilian life, we've seen aid workers being killed, and now 3 NATO nations have been calling out Israel for attacking their UN peacekeepers. Chapel Roan is the problem right now in the Israel-Gaza conflict. It is just so bizarre, the things that he talks about. And watching his 9-minute diatribe, it was actually very disgusting, because he basically was saying things like there was never Palestinians, no one ever wanted to live there. And I'm like, if you said that about any other group of people, honestly, it was disgusting. He has a weird Islamophobic history, and I also want to remind people, he has a very transphobic history. I honestly stopped watching him because of the transphobic things he was saying.
There came a point where there were just too many for me as well. And, it just...
Anyone on that level of famousity, like Chapel Rowan right now, is either going to be chastised for not doing enough with their platform or hated on for doing too much. So you got to find the middleman somewhere. That's, people destroyed her when she didn't come out and just say, go vote for Kamala. And then people got mad at her when now she's supporting Kamala and Queers for Palestine and all of these, groups that need support. So how can she win?
You can't.
She can't.
You can't.
Yeah,
It's a lose-lose situation.
Like that, you can't win.
Well, that is the news for today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, happening on our television network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Eric Restivo, and on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Yvonne Rohrbacher, Alex Morash, Dr. Bobby Huen, and Jeff Oliverio, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. And we remind you the presidential election is just 20 days away. Stand up for equality, rights, and representation. Make sure you're registered and ready to cast your ballot. Let's make history. Let's vote for a better future. Good night.
Night.
Right.